So the story ends with cops coming to my house and me getting in trouble.
I remember, you know how you got to go around and like tell every, they're like, what's your name? Where'd you do your undergrad? At one point, remember just looking at my Fitbit and my heart rate was like 120.
Talk about being in like a bunker in a war zone with like, bullets flying overhead and bombs dropping. Like that's what was going on in my body every time.
Okay. You left and then you came back with no hair.
Welcome in, everyone.
Welcome
to What's That Today. I'm Eric. He's Andy. Andy, you're looking a little red there. I don't know if it's the lighting or if it's... Did you run? Did you go for a run?
No, I never run.
Yeah. Dude, I ran today. I've been running recently. I hate it. I hate every miserable second of it. There's everything I would rather do whenever I'm running.
Yeah, I run, but I run with a purpose.
Oh, like sports.
Yeah, I don't run for fun.
Yeah, me neither. But I do run.
Or exercise, I guess. I run because it's like there's a ball.
Yeah. I run in a much more mature way.
Oh, yes.
I have a story that I want to tell you about because I just thought about this the other day. I'm like, this is a good platform for it. And I think it highlights the impulsiveness of ADHD really well. You want to hear about it?
Yeah.
So the story ends with cops coming to my house and me getting in trouble. And this is when I was in maybe 7th or 8th grade. I think 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
So I would there was this kid that lived nearby me, and I lived in Davis, and everybody bikes everywhere in Davis. So I would always bike to school, and I for a while I was biking with this one kid. I don't remember his name, but he this girl that he liked started dating this other guy, and so this guy that I was biking with had like a lot of hate in his heart for this other dude, who I knew. I think his name was Sebastian. And he was like, I had no issue with the guy. I wouldn't call him a friend, but I was like, we always chatted and blah, blah, blah. So one day we were biking to school, and on the bike path off to the side is a dead possum.
Oh.
And this kid, I'm going to call him Matt. I think his name was Matt. He was like, dude, you know what we should do? We should take this possum and throw it in Sebastian's yard. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I found a stick, and I picked up the possum with the stick, and I had him hanging off like my handlebars of my bike. And this kid's house was kind of like on the way to school. So I'm like, we're biking together. I have this possum like hanging off the edge of my bike. And dude, literally when I tell you, I'm not even like thinking about anything, consequences, anything like that. And so we go. We get to the kid's house, and I fling the possum in his yard.
Yeah.
And then we get to school, right? And I'm not thinking anything. I'm like, oh, ha. I'm not thinking about how, that is like a pretty, it's a crime. I'm not thinking about how it might look to this kid. And the consequences of like my relationship with this kid. I'm not thinking about what the parents are going to think. I'm not thinking about the fact that they called the police, and the police came to my house because people saw me biking around with a dead possum off the stick on the stick. Any of it. All it was like, there's the possum. Hey, we should pick up that possum, throw it in his yard. It's like, okay, that's it. That's the chain of thoughts that happened in my head. It wasn't even it was one link of a thought in my head.
Yeah.
And so I got in trouble for that.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you got in trouble. And it doesn't surprise me that you didn't think about it.
No. And dude, I'm not like, when I tell you I had no malice towards this person whatsoever.
Yeah.
If I had just thought about it for like a fraction of a second, I would have been like, yeah, that's a stupid thing to do. No, I'm not going to do that. And I would have thought about all the consequences. I didn't think about any of those consequences whatsoever. And then there's always that conversation with my parents is like, what the fuck were you thinking? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
You weren't.
You know?
You weren't.
I wasn't.
And that's the thing is you just said like if I had thought for a millisecond about what I was
Yeah.
doing, but like you probably I mean you how long was the bike ride? Like how long were you riding
Long,
around with this dead thing?
a while, dude. It was like
Yeah.
I was riding with that possum for a minute.
Like a minute?
No, like several minutes. I probably had the possum on the stick for like 10 minutes.
Also, dude, this guy, like, I don't know. I don't mean to like throw shade on this guy, but like he took advantage of you.
He did take advantage of me. He took advantage of my simple little ADHD mind. He did.
Like he literally was like he didn't do the dirty work at all.
No.
And it was like
No.
all for him.
But I mean, it wasn't premeditated, you know. It was like he said something, and then like he probably didn't think I was gonna like think anything of it, you know. But I'm like, yeah, let's do it, and I picked it up, you know. He's like, I guess we're doing this, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know, this is why.
When you start something, you're the type of person
To see it through,
that's gonna go
110%.
and
It
you really
sounds
did.
so positive,
And you really did.
and I
That's
really
that work
did.
ethic.
It's that work ethic. Yeah, dude.
How do I make myself look less red?
I don't know why are you so red, man. you weren't you weren't until you fixed the quality of your camera, and now you are a little less red. I didn't realize you had such good eyebrow control.
You have great
Oh.
eyebrow. Well, it actually looks like you're thinking about it.
I get a lot of comments about my eyebrows in my videos.
Really? Yeah, they do
Yeah.
look a little sinister.
Some people like will just comment like bro's eyebrows said, and then they'll put a tilde in the comment.
Bro's eyebrow. That's very funny. I like that. You do have great
I-
eyebrows. Like people pay to have eyebrows like that. I'm
yeah,
sure.
I do.
Wow,
You know,
they are like woo,
yeah,
very nice.
I know. Yeah,
I mean, you
I've
got a
nice
great
eyebrows.
beard.
I don't
You
have a
got
lot of, the hair. Ironically, the hair on my face is good. The hair up here is no good. The one place I really would like it to be is it's not good. It's
At
not
least
working out.
like you're someone that can pull off your due.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, dude. Do you remember when I first went bald? We were.
Nope.
I
What
was
happened
in.
was, let me explain to you what happened.
Okay.
You left, and then you came back with no hair. You went from long hair
Yeah.
to no hair. Like,
Did it freak you out?
no, I was like, bro, like, that dude is doing that on purpose.
Dude, you know what's funny? I used to save my old license pictures because each one it looked like a completely different person. Like completely different. The first one was just like clean shaven, really long hair. The second one was like short hair and then like kind of like a little beard. It was
Really?
just like stubble. And then the next one was just like bald head, big beard. It was pretty funny. I rebrand, I guess.
What are they like? It's like 6 years,
Is it?
something like that.
Well, I think the first one was less because it was after I turned 18 and the license changed or however that works. Remember that like the license changing direction, vertical to horizontal?
Oh. No.
No. Oh no.
I don't.
No. I did a lot of filming today.
Really?
I'm working on this new product, and it's super cool. So, it's an executive functioning gym. So, like the idea is, your executive when we talk about ADHD management, there's like coping strategies, right? How to put systems in place to make everyday life easier. And then the other side of it is like there are exercises you can do to improve your executive functions because they are skills. We have a deficit, but you can still exercise those executive functions. A lot of time when you look at ADHD management strategies, we focus on the coping strategies like planners, to-do lists, whatever. This is like actual extra. There's like 90 plus exercises that you can do specific to look at that, 90 plus specific to the different executive functions, and it's like a workout journal that you would take to the gym. You
Okay.
know, where you like log your workouts,
Yeah.
except for your executive functions.
Love it.
So super excited about it. I just did a ton of recording for it today, and it'll be live. I'm having some help with it.
Dude, shameless plug.
Yeah, I
Shameless.
it was pretty shameless. Yeah.
I will say, jokes aside, for what I've read, from what I've read about the neuroplasticity of our brains,
Yeah.
being an archaeologist, that's going to be very helpful for a lot of people. I thought I was going to sneeze, but then I had a cough.
It's gonna be helpful for a lot of people. Yeah.
That was so strange.
People are
Wow.
gonna think you weren't being honest. It sounded like you were on the verge of laughing.
I'm sorry. No, like because of neuroplasticity and what we know that is to be true about that, these exercises are going to be very helpful.
100%. And I made sure that these exercises there's a term in psychology that I can't think of right now, but it's how transferable the skill is. And like there are some products out there. I've actually been reached out to by a few who have this product that is basically like you're on the computer and you're focusing on something, and it's like you're playing this game, and it helps you focus, is what they purport, right? But the science behind like how transferable that skill is to other areas of life, like it's pretty weak, you know? There's not a lot of correlation there. So these exercises are not exercises that are like, loosely transferable. They're exercises that are like one-to-one with real life scenarios. So when you exercise them, you're building the actual skill that you can transfer to real life. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Do you know that term? I can't think of it right now.
No. But what I do want you to do is give me an example of one of your favorite exercises to use, maybe one that you use.
Okay. So this is an exercise specific to impulse control, right?
Okay.
And it's slower walking. So pick a short destination, and this is something you do for like your entirety of your day if you're planning on doing this exercise. So like pick a short destination, could be your walk to the office, grocery store, whatever. Deliberately walk 20% slower than your natural pace the whole way. It's a deliberate way to kind of like slow yourself down.
Yeah. I love that.
That's a super simple one.
That is, yeah, that's good. That's one that you can practice all the time. You don't even need to set time aside for that. You can just do that.
I could just be like your mode.
You can just be
right?
conscientious
and then
of doing that.
And then that would leak into other areas too, right? Because you got to be a little more mindful of time management. If you decide to do it like all the time, like today, I'm just going to walk 20% slower.
Yeah.
You got to be more deliberate. Yeah. So anyway, this is going to be available. By the time this episode airs, it'll probably be out.
Yeah. So next Monday. So on Monday.
So next,
On Tuesday, you mean?
well, Thursday it'll be out.
This episode's gonna be out on Thursday.
The product will be out on Thursday. This episode, I hope will be out on Thursday.
Let me ask you about rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Rejection sensitive dysphoria.
You're pronouncing this as if you've never heard it before.
You know what? I've dealt with a lot of it. I've seen a lot of it, and it was coined in the 1970s. It's only more recently become a more mainstream thing that people understand and talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, rejection sensitive dysphoria is a thing,
Yes, it is.
and I want to know about your experience with that.
My experience with rejection.
Yeah.
Dude,
How did it affect you when you were a kid? Okay, so realistically,
yeah.
in what ways did your maybe your perceived rejection of something influence your behavior as a child?
Well, I think that it definitely influenced my social anxiety for sure because I had such a if I felt like I was being judged for something or particularly in the way I spoke, I would just like shut down. I would get, what happens to me, dude? Like I when I get embarrassed or like anxious in like a social setting, my fight or flight, that kicks in is so intense that I cannot think, dude. Like and in conversation, I'll just blank out. Like I have such a hard time getting words out, let alone putting together like a complete thought.
Hmm.
And it was sort of like a cyclical thing. Like that would happen, or I would just think about that happening, and then it would like trigger the response. So in conversations where it felt like there were any sort of stakes, that would kick in, and then I just couldn't like properly communicate. So in like, remember I told you how like in college, for example, I had a really hard time with my social anxiety. That was happening constantly, not just with like teachers or whatever, like the typical like I feel like there's higher stakes, so that's going on, but like I felt like there were stakes in all the interactions I was having because everybody was new, right? So I was like, oh, I want to make friends, but then I started thinking about like how what I'm saying could be like stupid, and then I wouldn't be able to process and communicate. So the result of that was just most conversations were very just like, yeah, no, oh, cool, yeah, right? Like that was it. That was like my repertoire. It wasn't.
Oh,
I
so you would sort of hold back. You'd hold back for fear.
Yeah, exactly. And it would just be very like I was not a good communicator. I was not. I couldn't keep conversations going. I just
Mm.
couldn't. They would end very fast. I'd make an effort, like I'd ask a leading question, get an answer, and then oh, cool. Stop there because I would just be like my brain was no longer making connections and processing and figuring out what I can say next.
Right.
That was I mean that was going on all through college. I don't know. I haven't thought, even though that it's on the list, I haven't thought much about other RSD type. I will say this, and I'm gonna start sounding like a broken record, but improv was the thing that helped me most with that because the whole RSD thing, it was like, I was thinking about how I was going to be perceived, and that would prevent me from thinking about anything
Yeah.
and being able to communicate. With improv, I learned to not let that start up, just start doing and talking and acting.
Yeah.
And I then didn't get into that cycle. I just before that was even able to happen, I would get stuff out.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you, RSD? I feel like you probably have some situations, some RSD type situations.
I think that when you're little, there's
You're
like
not little, Andy. You're 6'1", dude. No, you're 6'2". How tall are you?
I am, yeah, I'm right around both of those. I think when you're younger, well, when you're younger, I think you see this a lot where kids shut down,
Yeah,
and that was me.
yeah.
Like I would go into a new space around a lot of folks or like
You
kids or
should-
something, and like I remember when I moved, like I remember like every recess, I was just so afraid,
Yeah,
you know, that I remember I sat on this hill for like a month.
just being introspective. That's Andy. He's a poet.
Yeah, I
He's
was
a
like I was like
he's
eight,
very mysterious.
like
Yeah,
8 year old.
he had a full beard and a pipe
Yeah, I was like Gandalf.
hill with a book.
Um,
Um,
no,
okay.
but yeah,
Okay.
Or
And
like
when
being afraid to answer questions, like those Socratic teachers who would be like, Andy, what's this? Oh man, if I didn't get that right, I was like internally, I was like, oh, everybody around me thinks I'm an absolute
oh,
loser.
tell me about it, dude. I couldn't read or write when I was entering fourth grade because I told you about the Spanish immersion thing. Went to Spanish immersion, developmentally behind already, and when I like transferred into public school, I was illiterate, dude. I was so behind with reading and writing. So whenever I got called out, like, dude, talk about like being in like a bunker in a war zone with like bullets flying overhead and bombs dropping. Like that's what was going on in my body every time. There was one of those situations where it's like, all right, we're gonna call on some kids to like read a section or something like that.
Oh,
And I was just
popcorn reading.
and I was just like, I can't read. So this is please don't do this to me.
You'd
I
be like, can I
will.
go to the bathroom? Can I go to the bathroom?
That's exactly that was. Can I go? I gotta go to the bathroom. Teachers were like, "Do you?" I'm like, "I'm gonna my pants right now," and I just try, and then I'll try to do it. Like try to make myself. No, I'm
You
just
would be in that.
kidding.
You'd be that kid that would be like in the bathroom for like 25 minutes,
Dude, just sweating.
waiting until that whole thing was done.
Dude,
Waiting
there
until there
was.
was no more parts to read.
I think I probably took like 10 years off of my life with how stressed
Stressed.
I was in moments like that, and how
Yeah.
frequent they were. Every day at school was just like a waking nightmare, dude. It was so
Dude,
bad.
I remember it even as recently as graduate school. I got one of these like smart watches, right?
Yeah.
So, I remember, how you got to go around and like tell they're like, "What's your name? Where'd you do your undergrad? What's your something that you love?"
Yeah, yeah,
Dude, at one point like remember just looking at my like Fitbit and my heart rate was like 120
yeah.
before they got to me, dude. And that was consistent, like
Oh my God.
every time. I remember just being like, why do we got to do this part?
Yeah, dude.
Like, I'm going to say something so dumb, and
Yeah.
everybody's going to be like, I can't believe you.
This idiot
This guy's an
here.
idiot. I
God,
can't
what's he
believe
even doing here?
he couldn't even say his own name.
Oh God. Yeah, dude, I hated those too. That was.
Or even at a new job.
Oh
New
yeah.
job, that kind of thing happens.
Oh, you want to hear about it? I once had a boss tell me at a group meeting with the entire company to sell me this pen.
No.
Swear to God. And
That like Wolf of
this was
Wall Street thing.
this was before my improv classes, so that was a moment where I wanted to die, for sure. I've had many of those. I could have been like I would have taken just take me out is preferable to this right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or like, the first 2 weeks at a job
Yeah.
where you're just like, you think like everything you do, you're just going to get fired.
Oh, yes, dude. And everyone and every move you make, every sound you make is being scrutinized.
Yeah.
And you just want to, I don't know,
Like,
just want to fast forward like to the point
yeah.
because
The
I mean,
comfort.
I know now that you get like I've been around the block enough to know that you get comfortable.
You
I
do.
understand that, but the beginning phase is just so
It's like
miserable.
fight or flight though.
Yeah, it is.
You definitely like anything anybody says that could be remotely like negative, you're just like, yeah,
Dude,
and you're like, oh no.
I feel like I can almost feel the blood drain from my brain.
Hey?
Like I can feel
Yeah.
my head just gets lighter.
Yeah, dude, that's real,
Uh-oh.
dude.
I have nothing. I have nothing going on up
I
here,
have nothing to
guys.
offer. Why am
Yeah,
I here? It
I'm
almost
useless.
it almost pushes it moves into the
Oh,
imposter syndrome.
yeah. I had a lot of that. Do you have a lot of imposter syndrome in life?
So, My next question. Unless you have more to add.
I asked you a question, but go ahead.
What did you ask me?
I said, do you have imposter syndrome? Like, do you have
Oh, you did
a
you?
lot of
Yeah,
syndrome in your life?
yeah.
How are you now with it? Is it like, are you kind of over? Because I asked you a question. I'm going to answer it. Sorry, but for me, like my imposter syndrome now, I feel like I've done enough things where it's like I don't have as strong as a immediate imposter feeling in the new things that I do. I used to have it really bad. What about you? Is it
I think that I'm so established in all the things that I do professionally now
yeah,
that it's just not there. But
yeah, yeah.
if I were to undertake,
That's
with this kind of thing, I'm kind of like, I do feel it. I'm like, what, I'm like, I
yeah,
don't know. Like, well, who's going to listen to this?
yeah,
Why, why would they care? Why would anybody care about what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
So that, yeah, I do feel it now that I think
yeah.
about it.
What? Yeah,
But in
yeah.
my
What?
professional life, I don't because I've been in those fields for so long.
Makes sense. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense, dude. Anyway, Andy, it's time for us to talk about the Voynich Manuscript. You ready?
Yeah. All right. Lay it on me.
Okay. What if I told you that there was a 240-page medieval book written in an entirely unknown alphabet, and it was filled with bizarre illustrations of plant life that does not exist on Earth? Guess how old this thing is, Andy? From the medieval times.
I think that it is. Let me just figure this out. Medieval times. Being an archaeologist, I should know exactly what
You
all of
should know
this is.
exact. You should be able to
I literally
guess the
should be able to
exact date.
draw it out for you. But it
Yeah.
was. Let me see. It
Let's
was.
see. Castles, knights, kings.
I think that it is 600 years old. 600 years old.
Nailed it. You nailed it. Perfect. Yeah, your architecture degree is really paying off. Um, Carbon dating places the creation of the vellum, VELLUM.
Oh,
Can you
that's
help me
the
out?
paper. That's what's called. It's the
Animal
paper.
skin pages. Yep. Places it between 1404 and 1438, meaning it survived over 600 years.
I think
Without anyone deciphering a single sentence. Okay? The manuscript has baffled the world's top cryptographers, which you work with probably on a daily basis, including British code breaker from
Yep.
Bletchley Park,
Yep.
and FBI experts who cracked complex wartime enemy codes.
Yeah.
Not even they could do it, Andy, but we could if we tried. The illustrations are divided into sections featuring drawings of unknown celestial constellations, strange pharmaceutical jars, and scantily clad or nude women bathing in networks of green tubes and pools. Okay, linguistic structure. While it looks like gibberish, statistical analysis shows the text follows natural language laws, like Zipf's law, which governs word frequency, proving it isn't just a random assortment of letters.
Whoa.
Okay. Okay, scholars remain split. Is it a highly
Don't.
sophisticated 15th century hoax? Okay, you know what? We'll stop there. We'll stop there. Andy, what's going on here?
All right. Well, since you already got one of the theories out there,
Yeah, sorry, I jumped the shark a little bit there.
jump the shark. I've never heard that before.
No? Hopefully I'm using it right.
I've heard jump the gun before, which means
Hopefully
like to start earlier than the race begins.
yeah, pat the shark.
What? Pat the shark?
No, that's not it. Sniff the shark? I don't know. Whatever. I know there's an expression with shark. All right, so
Okay.
back to the
All right.
Voynich Manuscript. What do you think happened, Andy?
All right. I think it was an elaborate hoax.
Yeah, you do.
No.
Talk
I
to me about this.
think what I think about it is, all right. Where was it found?
Discovered in 1912 by a rare uh, book dealer. Oh, Wilfred Voynich found it in a chest at the Villa Mondragone, a historic Jesuit college and formal papal villa located in Frascati, Italy, just outside of Rome. Man, I butchered so many words in that sentence,
It's
but
okay. It's
it's what we
okay.
do here.
That's what we do. Part of me, like when you said the manuscript, did you ever, I don't know why, but I just thought of like, have you ever seen the movie Atlantis?
Yeah.
You know
The animated one?
The Shepherd's Journal?
I don't know. It's been a while. No, I
Oh,
don't
you
remember
haven't
that.
watched it recently?
Christmas Vacation, is that part of your Christmas holiday movie rotation? Atlantis.
No, but I will say that movie, like when I was a kid, that was probably my favorite animated movie.
Chris, you know, my sister too. She loved that movie.
And like, which is also weird because it probably came out when I was like 9.
Hmm.
So like I was like, I don't know.
That
Anyway,
puts you at 47 years old
yep.
for viewers.
So yeah, I just when you say that, I just think of that for some reason. I don't know why, but I just thought of the Shepherd's Journal,
And
and
can you describe the Shepherd's Journal?
that's what leads you to Atlantis, dude.
Oh, I see.
It tells you
So,
all the things. It has all the stuff written there that you have to decipher the words to
yeah.
know basically where to go. But it was like a ton of different languages that made it. I think I
Mm.
haven't seen it in a while either, but anyways, maybe this was like, dude, maybe that, maybe there was just a guy. Like, are we think like what are you? I don't know. Maybe it was just a guy who was like writing a story. Like Tolkien, like made his own language. I mean, he was like a linguistics. I think he was
Yeah.
a linguistics professor at like Oxford or something.
Yeah.
But like, he made his own language and like wrote The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. You know,
Yeah,
maybe this.
but that one could be deciphered. Even though it was a made up language, you could decipher it.
Yeah. But what I'm thinking is maybe this guy just, or gal, maybe they were making up their own little story and then they just took a bunch of letters and jumbled them up and cut them in half and then mix matched them and made words
And there you have it.
and drew the pictures.
That's it. And then they drew the pictures.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the
240
pictures,
pages worth
what?
of
Okay.
240 pages worth of nonsense letters, and
And I'd imagine the pages are about this big.
you'd be exactly right.
So we're
That's
talking 200 pages. That's not that many pages.
240 pages.
Dude.
Um, okay, so you think it was just a J.R. Tolkien? How did you say it? You
Yep,
pronounced it differently. Ever
that's right.
Tolkien?
I think so.
Type person who developed their own language, and they made it such that no one could decipher it, but they didn't have a corresponding, story to go with it, and they just went for 240 pages. They just went insane and put this fake language on pages with pictures that were like nothing seen on Earth.
Well, that's the other thing is like maybe it's like art.
Yeah.
Also, um, maybe they were, maybe they had a codex. Maybe they had a codex and the codex is actually hidden away somewhere. Like maybe it's deep underground.
Yeah.
But you're saying AI couldn't figure it out, so
What's the codex look like?
it's circular probably, and it's just like
Oh, I see. Like a snitch from Harry Potter.
No, no, it's like here. I'm gonna draw it for you.
Okay.
It's like
We got to submit this to Wikipedia too. Dude, we make a lot of valuable contributions to the mystery side of Wikipedia. I see, I see. Yeah. And you
and like
twist
you
it.
have to twist
Yeah,
part of it,
yeah,
and then it like matches up with something else.
yeah. And then when you get it, when you twist it right, it
Yeah,
then does it open, or is that just it gives you everything you need to understand the language?
yeah, and it's made out of like some sort of metal
Bronze.
or maybe wood. Maybe it's made out of wood.
Well, that would make sense as to why no one's found it, because it probably, if it's underground, rotted away,
Yeah.
which is
Um,
unfortunate. Let me ask you this. So you said your first guess was a hoax because that's what I said, right?
well,
But
what would it be a hoax of?
yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you. So like a hoax, what do you mean? Like this guy Voynich in 1912 made this thing and he's like, "Oh,
Like,
this is a 600-year-old thing." But it's like then we could carbon date it and we know that it is actually 600 years old.
yeah. Oh, it's a hoax to say like someone found it. Like someone's like, "Ah, I found this. I found this.
Yeah,
It's 600 years old."
yeah.
And then everyone's like, "No,
They
that's
could sell it.
actually
Yeah,
that's
they
just
could sell it for a lot of money.
yeah." They were like, "No, that's actually just oh, crud. What's that typeface that's like wingnut or something that like
Yeah,
on
yeah.
you
Wingdings,
wing
wingnut.
like yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Where
Yeah,
you go on Word and
wingdings, right? Or yeah.
something like that and like it was literally just a guy doing that or whoever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would be a hoax.
Let me read this last bullet to you. So scholars remain split. Is it a highly sophisticated 15th century hoax designed to sell to wealthy collectors, an elaborate cipher protecting forbidden medical knowledge, or an invented language that lost its last speaker?
I would go with the third one.
A language that lost its speaker?
Yeah, because like they say that there's like do you know how many languages are on this earth?
Like 60, is about 60, give or take.
I think it's way more than that, dude.
No. Alexa?
So like Alexa.
It's like yeah, like 60 or so. No, I mean a lot of languages.
So yeah, like, maybe that is the case. Maybe there's like some explorer and they went to this place and they found this book and they brought it back and then they died and then like that civilization just perished.
Which is
All
yeah,
these all the
and it could have
topics
been
are very
what?
all of our topics are so some in one way or another they get to like a dark place.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's true. It's kind of a common theme here. I think like I guess it's like so the idea that it's written in a language that can't be deciphered and the language is a lost language, that's not too crazy in and of itself, right? Like, I mean, I know, like, yeah, I mean, a language can get lost. You can have something that you're not able to interpret, right?
Yeah.
That can happen. That's not crazy. Then the illustrations are weird, right? So, but that's
Right.
like, what if it's like a fictional story, like that somebody wrote back.
Yeah, like they left it and they were like, "This is hilarious." Like,
Yeah,
I
I wanna tell you what I think is the top theory. Go ahead, go ahead.
first, what on earth? Okay, so wait, how did this thing come about?
It was found in like a chest in Italy.
Okay, so there's imagine. All right, so you and me,
Yeah.
We just bought this place to get, together. We bought
Yeah.
this place and it's got stuff. It's kind of like Storage Wars.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, $3,000. And they're
Yeah.
like, you got it. You got the house.
Yeah.
And then mine just went off. But then we were like, oh, all right, like let's go look at our stuff. Let's go see what we got. So
Yeah.
we're like going through the house, like going through, and then all of a sudden, like we come upon this chest, and we're like, oh, let's look at this chest. And then I'm like, oh, look at this.
What do you got there? Is that made of vellum? Is that vellum?
Yeah, it's so old.
Yeah, I'd place that at around 1400, 1404.
And then you're like,
What are those pictures? Are those?
oh.
Is
And then
that?
then you're like,
Is
dude.
that what I think it is? Is that medieval? Are those women not wearing clothes?
And then they're like, this has got to be, I don't know what it says.
Yeah.
This
You
has
know
got to
what?
be worth.
Let me give it a look. Let me give it a
Sure.
look. See if I can decipher this. No way. Way too hard. This language is. There's no way anyone could figure this one out.
And they were like, we got to bring it to the authorities.
Yeah. What are these pictures, though, dude?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a plant like this before, eating
Can
a
you
woman?
get that back?
Yeah.
Like,
No. You
so
sure? Take a closer look. Look outside. No, doesn't look like anything I've seen before.
you've never
Okay.
seen that?
How much do you think we could get for it?
No, like
It's
50 bucks.
1912, so like $50 could get us a
Oh,
new-
it was 1912 when we found it?
yeah.
Yeah, we could probably get like a couple. I don't know. We'd probably get like 100, maybe like 50 or 60 bucks
We could get a whole chariot.
in 1920. We could get a
For-
Model T.
In 1912, where people cruising around in chariots.
In 1912, they were probably cruising around in Ford Model Ts.
Model T is 19 that old? 19 Alexa? All right, whatever. Okay, so we could get a Model T.
We'll split it with you.
Each of us could get one probably with this.
Maybe.
So here's the theory.
Okay.
that I think, and by the way, this was not like this was just some guy's opinion I found on Reddit. A non-historian, non-cryptographer, not one of your colleagues in the archaeology world or architecture world. And he was like, listen, why do people not think that pranksters haven't been around forever?
Oh, yeah.
Who's to say that there wasn't just like a cheeky young lad or lass who was like, this will be funny. I'm just going to like make this up. Imagine 600 years later, people are still trying to figure out what it is. Right? I mean, what? Like, there's people like that around today, you know? I'm sure there were people like that around back then. Were people not having fun in 1404?
Nope.
Probably not, actually. I don't know what was going on in
It
1404,
was
but it
miserable back
doesn't
then.
sound very fun. But that is, in my head, the most logical answer. It's not 1912, this Voynich guy, figured out how to make this fake book that he could sell for a lot of money. No, I think 600 years ago, you just had some goofy MF,
Some prankster.
some prankster who was just like this will be hilarious. Look at this. This plan is like eating this woman. Imagine anyone takes this seriously.
Oh, is that what's happening? In that
Yeah,
book?
yeah. It's like,
God.
or there's like women inside of plants. It's like,
Oh,
hey Jeff, can you pull this up?
yeah.
One day we'll have Jeff to help us out.
That's our AI that we're gonna make.
Yeah, Jeff, the AI, Jeff AI. So anyway, that's what I think happened. I think this random person on Reddit nailed it. I think he was just a prankster guy. It makes the most logical sense, and the weird thing about that is like that's not like why didn't people go there to begin with? I think that's the most obvious answer.
Go where?
Like, oh no, it's a elaborate cipher protecting forbidden medical knowledge. It's like, no, it's not, dude.
Experts thought that? Or
Yeah,
Reddit people thought that?
scholars remain split. Scholars.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Medical knowledge, huh?
Forbidden medical knowledge.
Hmm.
Speaking of medical knowledge, no, I wish I had a segue there. That would have been a good one. Um, that's all I got. I only got one mystery for you today,
Oh.
but I think it was a good one. What do you think? How do you feel about it? Do you feel do you feel a sense of relief now that we've solved it?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I feel good about it.
Like I think it all boils down to we think it is somebody that just was having a laugh.
Yeah.
But what's crazy about that idea is the fact that they were like, I'm gonna do this thing, and it's gonna puzzle some people.
They whoever this prankster was had to have been real. It wasn't just that kid in class who was like, giving kids wedgies or whatever. Like this was like a
They had a
really
lot of
smart,
foresight too.
a
Yeah.
lot, yeah, smart prankster, especially because this piece right here, statistical analysis shows the text follows natural language laws. So even though it was like a fake language that they made up, it was like lorem ipsum. You know what I mean? It was like it looked like real language. It was the original lorem ipsum.
Interesting.
Is it?
Yeah.
I have a challenge to all you listeners out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whoever can create this generation's Voynich Manuscript, some document that's going to puzzle, uh, Earthlings 600 years later, gets a free T-shirt. I didn't know where I was going with that, but
You get a free T-shirt.
you get a free T-shirt.
It may or may not be worn.
It may be used.
By
It
Eric.
may be too small for me now.
It may or may not have beard oil on it.
It may have a yellow collar and
Yeah.
some coffee spatterings on it. Coffee spattering. Do you stain a lot of your clothes?
Um, well, the other day, let me tell you about this thing that happened to me that is very frustrating.
Hmm.
I put all of my work shirts in the laundry
Chapstick.
and I washed them and I was like, this is great. They need a good old washing. This will be good. Get them washed up for work. And so I wash them up and I put them in the dryer and I'm like, oh, they're still a little bit wet. So I put them back in the dryer and I dried them real good.
No.
I pull these things out, and like I've said before, I have 5 shirts that are all the same color.
Yeah.
Or sorry, they're all different colors, but the same shirt.
Yep.
And yeah, I pulled them out, and I exploded a pen in there.
Oh no.
And dude, the fallout, like the pen on one of the shirts that it was in the pocket, obviously. It just looks like I tried to rob a bank. Like it's just like and like
Yeah.
part of me is just like I was looking for my pen
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like midway through this thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, gosh, where is that pen? And like
Yeah.
laundry's just going, dude. I was like,
Yeah.
must have left it in my office,
Yeah.
you know.
It's clearly not anywhere here in this house.
Would you like to see the shirt?
Yeah, I do. You have it.
Yeah. I
Okay.
wore it the other day.
Okay. Oh yeah, it does. You're right. It just like looks like You open up a money bag and it's splattered on you.
Just no questions asked.
That's hilarious, dude.
And so all of my shirts that are in various colors that are this
What
are
brand?
just,
What kind of shirt is it? What's the one shirt you get?
it's called the LL Bean traditional fit 100% cotton large regular shirt.
I was gonna guess LL Bean.
Yeah.
What brand are your pants?
Levi's.
LL Bean and
Beige.
what about a belt? Do you wear a belt?
I wear a Carhartt belt
Carhartt belt.
that
What
I've
about
had for like 13 years.
what do
And
you
it
wear
is
for
stretched out.
shoe? Oh, is it leather?
Yeah.
Dude, I got
And
the
like
best.
the
Can I show you
buckle.
my belt? Hold on, I'm gonna show you my belt.
Okay.
I'll start with the buckle.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh. No way,
Yeah,
dude.
check this thing out.
Where did you get that?
This is in a store in Colorado that had all kinds of like outdoorsy stuff and good like workman's gear.
Yeah,
And I found a leather belt. Dude, this thing is like,
that's serious.
all right. I love this thing. It's one of my favorite articles of clothing.
Does that belt jam up into your belly when you sit down? That
Nope.
buckle?
Nope.
That's good. It
Wish I could smell. I'm sure it would smell like good leather.
smells genuine.
Genuine leather. Made
Um,
in. Oh, yeah, look, see? Genuine leather right there.
yep.
Made in Taiwan, where all the best belts are. Oh, uh-oh. Ah, dude, that's such a shame because, like, they probably fit so, like, you know, they're nicely broken in.
They're perfectly broken in.
Damn, dude, if only you could suck the ink out of it somehow.
Yeah, I tried.
You know what? You could throw like a handful of pens back in there
Yep.
and just get it all one solid, and you're
Trust
good.
me, I thought about it.
Yeah.
Thought about getting a big old Tupperware with some blue ink and just some Rit dye and just boom.
Or you could just tie dye it. You know,
Yeah. It's like hard to go to the office wearing tie dye though.
it's hard for who
Hard for everyone else.
to to
It's
see
hard to
that.
look at. They're too
Yeah,
distracted. They're like, you look like a circus act.
yeah, we're having
I've
trouble.
done it
And
before.
Andy, can you come in here for a sec? We got to talk about your shirt.
Don't wear that.
Don't we don't have this?
Don't.
I wouldn't call this a company rule, but we're considering making it one now. Can you please do something about this?
You look horrible.
Linda can't focus at all. Her productivity's gone way down.
And then I'm
Uh,
like, that explains why she's just been glaring at me.
yeah, we were about to talk to HR about it because
Too much tie dye.
well, that sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that. All right. On that note, signing off from Utah, New Zealand. Did you know
And
there's Utah, New Zealand?
nah,
There probably isn't. And where are you from, Andy?
Duxbury.
Farm? Duxbury Farm.
Duxbury Farm.
All right. Until next time, we'll catch you. We'll catch you later.
Till next time, we'll catch you next time.
We'll catch you on the next time.